Hello my friends, and how's it going? Ultimus here, again bringing you another video. Today looking at Holy Paladins, where this is kind of in lieu of what we've been doing with other classes, how we've been reevaluating warriors. So we took a step back and looked at arms, took a step back, looked at fury, as we get closer and closer to launch rather than just doing a cursory overview. I wanted to talk about Paladins, specifically Holy Paladins, as I mentioned before, because I was strongly considering playing one again in Warlords of Draenor. I played one quite heavily in Cataclysm and then tried for the first bit of Mist of Pandaria and then just kind of fell off with them. I couldn't seem to find a way to keep them fun for me. I don't know, maybe just something about the gameplay just wasn't, and even to this day I still can't quite put my finger on it. Though I think now, after looking at them more in depth for Warlords of Draenor, I have a better idea, I think, of why they didn't appeal to me. Now, before we go any further, I will say that this is going to be a mix of both good and bad. I have just as many good things to say about the Holy Paladin as I do bad things, I feel, and so at this point I'm still not entirely sure whether I'm set on playing one. I'm still intrigued because they are strong, they are competitive, and I do want to start the video off by laying out the reasons I like Holy Paladins, and they still intrigue me before we start laying into why I am kind of turned off by them. One thing that I did notice about Holy Paladins is that I do not go as quickly in this state of the beta as I did at the beginning, and I know Blizzard has done some tweaking with mana pools and spell cost and mana regeneration and things of that sort, so I definitely feel stronger in that regard, where you're not running out of mana as quickly as you used to. By means of competition and how they fare compared to other healing classes, they are just as strong, if not stronger than some. Their single target heals are amazing. In a couple of the bits here of the clips, you're going to see when wings are popped and when cooldowns are popped, massive heals. We're talking, 100k plus heals that are going to fly up there. And of course, given where health pools are at of about 340k or so, give or take here and there, that's a huge heal considering most are critting and going for 30 to 40 at best. So this is a big deal, I think. Holy Paladins still have a fabulous toolkit between Hand of Sacrifice, Hand of Protection, Hand of Freedom, the stuns, the disorients that they can spec into, how they can make even their Hand of Justice even better. Their bubble is fabulous. So they have a lot of utility in their kit, being able to heal multiple targets between their beacon and then being able to spec into their level 100 talent tree, picking up a second beacon, so you can basically have double beacons going at all times, which I can imagine would be pretty useful in a 3v3 arena situation. But if not, and I'm totally being optimistic there, obviously raids, PvE, fabulous. It's a great ability that not a lot of other classes have. Plate looks sick, and especially if you've seen some of the armor videos we've put out here on the channel, Paladin gear is shaping up to look like some of the best looking gear so far in Warlords of Draenor. So Paladins have a lot going for them. But with that, the problem with Paladins right now, and I finally was able to kind of put a capstone on this. The problem with Holy Paladins is they're boring compared to other healing specs and other healing classes. And I believe that this was put even further into the limelight and made evident with the entrance of Mistweavers. And why this is Mistweavers are a very dynamic, engaging spec and class. You're rolling all over the place. You're flying all over the battlefield. You've got your pillars up, your mists everywhere. You're healing your friends while you're doing spinning kicks and things of that sort, and so it's just fun, it's engaging, it looks cool, as opposed to so many other of your healing specs that are just kind of standing in free cast. The only exception, of course, being druids, where so many of their heals are hots that they're kind of running around as well, but nowhere near the degree that Mistweavers are. The second problem with Paladins in line of their spells or abilities being boring is they all look the same. In our video we did about a month or so ago now, where we looked at the Paladin spell animations and we got to the Holy spec, the problem is that so many of our heals look the same. There's no updated spell animations for them, there's no updated visuals, but they all also look the same as each other. For example, if you cast your Flash of Light and your Holy Light, they look the same. If you cast your Word of Glory, that looks the same. All of the heals just look very mundane, very boring, very typical, as opposed to the priest. I feel like if you're going to compare, similar healing types, or the priest, heals with an aesthetic based on the light, much like a Holy Paladin does, and even priest, discipline, or holy, they have a lot more visuals for their spells. Now, the other problem with Holy Paladins is they have so few instant heals. Now, this is kind of typical across the board because, again, most casters in general, whether you're playing a DPS class or a healing class for casting, everything is going back to being basically stationary. But when you look at druids and even shamans, I believe they've got a couple instant cast heals with the totems that will drop down and Riptide and things of that sort. Paladins really only have the one baseline instant heal, and that's Holy Shock, unless you spec into Holy Prism. Okay, so that really limits what you're able to do on the move. So I don't know if big heals are going to be enough to save the class. I haven't given up on it yet because I'm still having fun playing it, but I'm finding that I'm having more fun playing it in world PvP scenarios such as Ashran as opposed to a 2v2 or a 3v3 arena. But overall, for Holy Paladins, it just feels like you have a very simplistic, basic rotation. You know, casting Flash of Light will cause your Holy Shock to, I believe, reset the cooldown and proc for a better crit chance, and casting that will cause your Flash of Light to do the same, or etc. They proc off each other, so you're basically casting the same similar heals over and over again, and they look the same, they kind of feel the same, so you don't really feel like you're casting anything significant, I feel. So if that's important to you, you may want to keep an eye on that and just kind of see where it's going. As with everything else, it is subject to change, though Blizzard has made it pretty clear that as far as mechanics and functionality of classes, this is the way things are pretty much going to stay. The only thing you can expect to potentially be tweaked will be numbers of health and damage and things of that sort. So we'll see what happens with it. And as always, I feel like I say this every time I do one of these videos, but it is worth mentioning that I try to keep in mind that it's still an adjustment. There's still so many abilities missing, and the game has changed so much. This may just be the shock factor or the culture shock of it all, just adjusting to how many things are different. For those of you that are familiar with Holy Paladins and watching the gameplay footage in the back, maybe you can get a better idea. Of course, if you're playing a Holy Paladin, you're probably like me with my warrior. You're sold on them anyways, and no matter what happens with the class, you're probably going to stick with it, and you'll see it through all the buffs and the nerfs and the good days and the bad days. So kudos to you if you're one of those players. But that is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it made sense. It's always kind of difficult trying to talk about a class and explain a class to some level of detail that you don't have the most experience playing just from your cursory couple hours of playing here and there. So hopefully some of you found it to be enlightening and useful to you in some way or another. Thank you to the new subscribers. We are well over halfway to our 100 subscriber goal into October, so keep that up. You guys are awesome. I appreciate it so very much. And hopefully you guys will enjoy the content that is continuing to come out. I'm looking forward to some of the things we have planned for the channel. We got a couple really cool ideas for videos coming out this week, and maybe possibly some collaborations with some other YouTubers that I myself am friends with, so I thought it would be kind of fun to bring some content like that to you guys. But as always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.
You kept rolling snake eyes.